Hello, History 1 students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have your notes for Chapter 12, Section 3, The War in Europe. So, in number 1, FDR decided to invade Morocco and Algeria in 1942, and this is shortly after the United States had declared war on Germany. But it gave U.S. troops some experience, and it also helped the British uh, in the goal of protecting the Suez Canal, which happened to be a very important supply line in Egypt and also connecting to the oil fields in the Middle East. General Eisenhower and also General Patton were used during this invasion, and they were able to push German troops back into the part of North Africa near Tunisia. The German Africa Corps, which was the troops that were stationed in northern Africa, were commanded by General Erwin Rommel, who was a very good tank commander. And he got the nickname the Desert Fox because he was so sly. And occasionally he was able to slip away from the British in the United States. And number 3, in the Atlantic, Germans targeted American cargo ships in our coastal waters, literally right off the coast of the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico. The Navy set up a convoy system that was able to keep our supply ships safe from the U boat attacks. Hitler targeted the city of Stalingrad in Russia starting in 1943 because the city controlled the Volga River and it was also a major railroad junction. Capturing the city was also key to the Germans' attack. Unfortunately, the Battle of Stalingrad was a Soviet victory, not a German victory, as Hitler had hoped, and it provided a major turning point in the war in the East and put the Germans on the defensive. After the Allied invasion of North Africa, the Allies made plans to strike Germany and Italy. And this agreement was kind of reached at the Casablanca conference that was held in Casablanca, Morocco in January of 1943. It was also decided at this meeting that the Allies, particularly the United States, would help step up the bombing of Germany. And the goal was the British would bomb Germany at night under the cover of darkness, and the United States would do strategic bombing during the daylight hours so that they could easily wipe out some key targets. And that's what we're looking at here in number 7. Um, the goal was in this bombing campaign to kind of strike kind of the oil reserves, and it did cause a oil shortage for the Germans. It also played havoc on their railroad systems because the Allies were targeting key railways, bridges, things like that, that would keep it or make it difficult for the Germans to continue to supply themselves. They also destroyed many aircraft factories as a result of this. And number 8, U.S. General Eisenhower commanded the invasion of Sicily along with General Patton and their cohort, British General Bernard Montgomery, also known as Monty, who you see pictured there to the left. The attack on Sicily caused Italy to surrender, and as a result, Hitler moved his troops. He divided them. Those who were fighting in the east, he moved some of them to Italy to continue to fight the Allies. And one of the major encounters that the Allies had with the Germans, the new fortified German troops in Italy, was at a place called Cassino, which was where, if you know anything about like Saint Benedict, where his monastery was, and the Allies had to make a very difficult decision to actually bomb that ancient old monastery founded by Saint Benedict as a way to prevent the Germans from having the upper hand in this battle. The Allies also attacked at Anzio, which is another major battle in Italy. There were a lot of casualties there, but it's this fighting that is going to prepare uh, basically the Allies for this attack that's going to happen in France. The belief was Italy was kind of the soft underbelly, and as a result of this, once France is invaded, Italy is going to cave very quickly because the Germans are going to want to kind of shift their troops around. And number 10, at the Turin Conference in 1943, Stalin had promised to launch a full scale offensive against the Germans when the Allies invaded France in 1944. Stalin and Roosevelt also agreed to developing an international peacekeeping organization, which will one day become known as the United Nations. After the war, and Russia also agreed, the Soviet Union agreed to help the United States fight the Japanese once Germany was defeated. Roosevelt chose Dwight Eisenhower to command the invasion that's going to be known as either Operation Overlord or probably better known to all of you as the D Day invasion. The Germans believed that the Allies would probably land in an area called Pas de Calais, which is an area that's very close to Great Britain. But instead, we chose a different site, and that's what we're going to talk about here in this next slide, soon to be next slide. This is a painting of the D Day invasion. You can see there. Uh, the invasion of France began as the Allies landed about over 100,000 men with a massive force of roughly 7,000 ships. And they did this on June 6, 1944. If you take a look at the map over there on the right hand side, this was the largest amphibious operation in history. And the United States would take two beaches. We would take Omaha Beach and Utah Beach, whereas the British and the Canadian forces, they had other beaches. Omaha Beach was probably one of the more um, bloodier encounters because there was a lot of fortification there. In the end, about 1.5 million U.S. soldiers were involved in the Allied campaign, many of them coming after June the 6th in this invasion. But the invasion took place at Normandy along the French coast. The Americans came under intense fire, suffered heavy losses after landing at Omaha Beach. By late afternoon, U.S. Commander General Omar Bradley knew that this invasion had succeeded. One of the things to kind of fool the Germans was that the British and the United States had used decoys in Great Britain to kind of keep the spies on their toes. They had actually made a kind of a decoy army, which was made of inflatables. So you see here an inflatable tank. Unfortunately, if the wind would blow, it would flip that over. So they actually had to have men there to kind of to secure this. They also had large sound speakers that were playing sounds of like tanks and trucks moving to kind of fool the people that were in the neighborhood. Thank you very much.